Welcome to Consciously Inspired Minds, where we ditch the default and live life by design. I'm your host, Brandy White, personal growth enthusiast, entrepreneur, and lifestyle coach. I host conversations with creators, entrepreneurs, healers, and educators committed to living a life of truth, intention, and connection. Understanding how to discover their inner vision to design their outer world. Our guests take us on a journey of what it means to embody a life of conscious inspiration, joy, impact, and service. Get ready to be inspired. Welcome to Consciously Inspired Minds. I am really excited for our guest today, Kelleen Corsmeier, who is the owner, creative director, and lead designer of Kelleen Corsmeier Interiors. Hey, Kelleen, how are you?
Great. Thanks for having me, Brandy.
Yeah, of course. You bet. Thanks for being on today. I'm really excited for this interview because interior design is something that really lights me up as well and has always been a light passion of mine. And as I was doing some research before having you on today, Kelleen, there were just some things that were really piquing my interest and some really great tips and knowledge I think you're going to be able to share with our listeners today about what it means to live a consciously inspired life inside of interior design. And I think just naturally we all have a curiosity for it because our space can be so important to us. But why? Why is it so important to us? And this is actually something I do as well with my clients. As a lifestyle coach, I work through 3 pillars of calm, connection, and beauty. And beauty also entails how are we creating a space that expresses our unique spirit, which is what you do at Kelleen Corsmeier as well. So I can't wait to get into it. I just want to briefly introduce Kelleen to everyone and Kelleen Corsmeier Interiors and what her intentions are in bringing design into the homes and lives of her community. So the ultimate goal at Kelleen Corsmeier Interiors is for you to enjoy an exciting design experience and a beautiful finished project. Their comprehensive process allows them to create a space that tells your unique story and serves as the backdrop for a lifetime of unforgettable moments. Beautiful. I love that so much. So where I would love to start is a little bit about your childhood. This is typically where we go when we kick off these episodes, just to get folks grounded in who you are and how your childhood experiences have impacted who you are today.
Great. I'd love to share that. I like to say I had a normal childhood upbringing, but is there really any normal childhood? I have one brother. I'm the oldest. So right there, I think, maybe it's cliche, but being the oldest, you're the responsible one, the nurturing one, and especially being a girl, kind of felt that was my role and it was inside me, of course. I guess what was a little different about my childhood is that my dad actually stayed at home and my mom was the one who worked outside of the home. So I thought that was a little different. I don't have any other friends that really had that kind of at-home experience. So it kind of put the role on me to, I don't know, I felt like a little mom maybe, and I really enjoyed organizing and cleaning, and it kind of was my passion in a way as a kid to feel that way. We did go out to eat all the time, so that was a little different. I would go over to my one friend, and this is kind of inspired me to be how I wanted my family, because my mom was gone a lot. I'd go to my friend Julie's house. I'll just say her name, Julie. She had 5 siblings, and I loved to go over there because the mom stayed at home, the dad was at work. It was chaotic and crazy. They were always baking and cooking, and you'd come home and have a snack after school. So, secretly, I really loved being over there. I mean, I love being at my home as well, but I just pictured, even say that was like 6th grade. I remember specifically, I can't wait to have a family and be that kind of mom and bake and cook and clean. And it sounds really old fashioned now, but I really secretly enjoyed that. So when I got married, my husband and I were young. He was 18, I was 19, and I couldn't wait to like get out and, it was like playing house, but not. And I wanted a big family, as my friend Julie had all those siblings. And I thought how fun that would be. So we went on to have 4 kids, and I was that stay-at-home mom that I always wanted to be, and kept the perfect house, and just kind of wanted my kids to have the childhood that maybe I felt I missed out on a little bit, even though there was nothing wrong with the way I grew up. But that's.
Yeah. So it sounds like that was really intentional for you too. Even from an early age, you knew that's what you wanted to do at that time. So take us a little bit through that journey. And I just want to do a little shout out here too. So Rich is Kelleen's husband, and Rich is also a photographer, both creative minds in the house, an interior designer and a photographer, amongst other talents, I'm sure. But Rich is a phenomenal photographer, specifically for headshots. And he's actually done headshots for me that are stunning. So I would encourage everybody to visit Rich at his website, cincyheadshots.com. We'll put that in the show notes. But I wanted to make sure to call that out. As I had gotten to know Rich as well, I had come over to your home. I had obviously realized someone has an eye for design who lives here. And so that's when you had told me that you were an interior designer, and things kicked off from there. You had also told me you were an empty nester. You had had your kids and raised your kids, and recently-ish sold the home that you had raised your kids in, and are now in your dream home, which is absolutely beautiful. She had black petunias by her front door. And I'm like, who finds black petunias? But Kelleen's your girl. So yeah, just coming full circle, tell me about that time and that phase and what it was like raising a family and your husband being in the Navy, and then take us into how that sort of transitioned into where you are now.
So my husband was in the military, the Navy, for 10 years. We moved from one coast to the other. We were in Virginia, California, back to Virginia. So, moving a lot, and military pay isn't that great. We used what we had, made beautiful with what you had to work with, what friends or neighbors would give us. And we made the house a home that way. I started by helping my friends and neighbors do the same. We would share things and share ideas, and that was great. We finally got out of the Navy and moved to our home in Anderson, where we lived 22 years. So that is when, we were able to have our first home and have money to decorate it the way we want. Still, it was a passion I had, decorating. I loved it at the moment. Still didn't ever think that that would be what I would want to do when I grew up. It's just the way I was. Yeah. Growing up, I didn't realize that I was even interested really in design. It was just not a thought in my head. Like I said before, I really just wanted to be a mom. I love decorating when I think back to it as a child, rearranging my room and decorating. And, it was always kind of there, but I just did it. So, you have your family and you raise them, and you're busy, busy, busy all the time. I always thought that I was going to be a teacher. That is actually what I went to college for. Design was not even in my head at that moment. Before I had kids, we got married young. So I was University of Cincinnati for secondary education. I wanted to be a high school English or history teacher, or maybe professor. Like, I really thought I liked that. It was when you're in high school, what are you going to do? What do you want to go to school for? I don't know that I ever really thought I even wanted to be a teacher until, you kind of have to pick your career path. So I said, a teacher, I think that sounds great. I like kids and working with people, learning new things, history, English. So that's the path I thought I would go. You never know which way life is going to take you. So fast forward again, military, we're moving around, we come back, settle in our house, raise our 4 kids. That is a whole whirlwind in itself. Like, you don't even really have time to think. Some are lucky and they have their career if they want, but I enjoyed being home, busy with my kids and busy every second and planning and chaotic and going. I loved that. I enjoyed it. It was kind of my passion, always having something to do and being involved in school activities, PTA, all that stuff. And life just goes by super quick. So my last child graduated in 2016. So, we're almost empty nesters at that time. And that's when you kind of pause, wow, all the kids are out of school now. So what is my next step? What do I want to do?
How were you feeling at that time when all the kids were finally out of the house, or maybe even when you were on the heels of the last one leaving?
It's kind of like, wow, when you just stop a moment and think, what will I do next? Like, who am I? Because your identity was your so-and-so's mom or your PTA volunteer. And, what do we do now? I wasn't really sure. I had been working another job. I would do part-time jobs every once in a while. And I was a sales manager at a local company. I enjoyed it. I got my fill of seeing different people. But it wasn't until, we're thinking, what are we doing next? Like, let's move. Let's sell our house, whole different neighborhood. And this is what, at the time, I still didn't know that I would end up having a design business. We put our house up for sale. I just went ahead and staged it myself. Oh, this is great. So much fun. I love it. I had someone come in. It sold super quick, didn't even go on the market. And everybody said, who did their staging? Who decorated this? And I said, well, that was me. And right there, I had that light bulb moment like, wow, I really did enjoy doing this. Maybe this is something I might like to do. So the whole design thing even started with going into home staging. I thought, well, okay, let's go with that. It'd be something to do. I love to try new things. So I went about home staging. And this was right during COVID too. So 2020. So we're in the midst of COVID. And I'm like, well, I'm going to learn something. I'm going to take some courses online and got certified in home staging. And it was a weird time because even staging, a lot of things were virtual. So it was a different kind of time to even do that. Then it went into, well, a lot of people need help picking paint colors. So I said, oh, I can help with that. So I got certified in that. So all these little things, staging and color consultations, I'd go into people's home, help them pick colors, and then they would say, well, can you help me? I need help picking furniture and this and that. And I said, okay, you know what? It makes sense. Let's put it all together. Yeah, I'd love to help you do that. And I think that was always in the back of my mind and my heart that I would love to help people do that. I, think it's a gift I had, but until you step back and have a moment in your life to not have the family obligations and all that going on, maybe just take a pause and think, what will I enjoy to do? What gift can I share with others that will also help them? And it came to me almost out of the blue in a way.
Right. And I think that's how it sometimes happens, is when we least expect it and we get that, what I like to call downloads. And it's just those certain points of clarity that almost create those hits of dopamine that get you so lit up and so inspired and so curious to know more about whatever just happened. And so, yeah, and it sounds like for you, it's like, wow, I have this creative spark for interior design. I'm getting signs and synchronicities here. What's going on? Let's do some more investigation. And I have to applaud you and really celebrate you for leaning into that and trusting that download and trusting that intuition and just being curious about it and taking the classes and getting the certifications, because I think a lot of times we can try to write the book when we haven't even written the chapter yet.
I like that. Yeah,
And
I agree.
so for you, it was, oh, I'm interested in home staging. Okay, I'm curious. Let's see what this is about. This is lighting me up. And then it's like, oh, then it led to something else and another breadcrumb and another breadcrumb. And at the end of the day, we don't always know how all of those are going to come together and how we're going to be able to sort of connect the dots. But I think too frequently we do try to write the book first instead of just focusing on the chapter. So beautiful. So to take a pause here, going back to your days and repurposing accessories and furniture, and when your husband was in the Navy, were there any hits then for you? Were there people coming to you like, Kelleen, wow, you have a gift here?
There was. And it's funny because, when we moved, we had a lot of hand-me-downs from our parents. We were kids. We had nothing, basically. So we would move into military housing. It was pretty much like a Stark box, seriously, nothing. So what we had, knickknacks from my family or whatnot. And, I created vignettes, and I didn't even know they were vignettes at the time, where you just, purposely put things together in little groupings. And I remember going to one of our neighbors' house, and she came over and said, wow, I just didn't even realize that your house would look like this. And she says, how do you do that? I said, well, let's go over to your house and just move things around. So, I guess at the time, I probably had these little sparks all along, but, never would have dreamed of it being a business at all. I just enjoyed helping others have that feeling too, and having them enjoy the space they were in, because we couldn't have a lot. A family would move out and they would give you their coffee table. And you're like, oh, I have a new table, and we decorate it. So it's still kind of like my favorite thing to do. Is not everyone can have a $2 million home and everything brand new. So it really means a lot when some clients kind of be like, no, you're not going to want to work with me. I don't have a lot of money, or, I can't get everything new. And I say, you know what you have tells your story. So we're going to use what you have. And they really do light up with that. Like, it's not really out of reach for anyone to repurpose what you have and just look at it a different way. It takes another set of eyes sometimes to come in. And I think I enjoy that more than even, it's great having, brand new homes and brand new items we can bring in. But it's really more meaningful, I think, when it's from the heart and I can help work with what we already have. And they're having that, say, tell me that story, where did you get that sofa? And then they just appreciate it even more. So
yeah, just bringing those special items back to life in the home and letting that be something that celebrates their unique spirit and
exactly.
something that they can feel inspired by every day when they're sitting in a room. I mean, I remember I talk a lot about, my corporate days. I had a home office and it was bare. There was like a lonely lamp in the corner, a chair, my computer. And when I had moved on from my corporate job, I was looking around in my home office and I'm thinking, this is crazy. I don't have one single picture of my kid in here, of my kids. I don't have anything that really expresses who I am or what inspires me. And I just started to add things here and there. And it wasn't anything that I rushed through. It was just I would find an item or a piece of art and enjoy that and put it in a space. And then, as I would continue to collect, I'd kind of shift things around, move things around. And and then it just sort of uniquely came into this space that's now a favorite room of mine in the house. So, and I love how you are really serving folks through an emotion, and how they're feeling in their space is incredibly important. So tell us about now, okay, the kids are out of the house. You're asking these existential questions that we all begin to ask ourselves when life slows down a little bit, which is, who am I? What's next for me? Okay, so you put the house on the market, that sells quickly. And you had said earlier, I love to try new things. In this moment of selling the house, because you had been there for 20 plus years, take us through those emotions and how you were able to release that house and start moving into something brand new and what sounds to be uncertain at the time.
Yeah, it really was uncertain. One is, where are we going to live now? What are we going to do? So we had that opportunity. Let's change things up. So we decided that we would build a brand new home. And right then, still the creative design juices are like, oh my gosh, I was so excited to put all of my love of design into my own home. So that's just still fueling where I want to go with this. I'm like, oh, this is just amazing. Oh, I could totally do this for other people as well. So I just kept chugging along with it and taking more classes and Interior Design Institute. Like I just kept going. I'm like, okay, this was amazing process for me. So I, kind of taught myself the process by building our own home. Everything was just kind of happening the way it was meant to be. I believe when we moved in here, I said, that's it. I'm just going to go with it and I'm going to open my own business. Let's see what can happen. So here we are. I just went with it. It was scary trying something different. A lot of people are like, wow, aren't you like old to start your own business? Like, why are you doing that? I said, no, I love learning, try new things. And you're not going to know unless you try it. We all get nervous about doing something new. Maybe I'll fail. I don't know. And you struggle when you are trying new things. Wow, am I good? Is it going to work? You self-doubt all the time. But I just know, I'm just going to keep going forward. And I really love it.
Tell me how you sort of built those beliefs in your mind that you could do this.
That's kind of hard. You just had to overcome the self-doubt, which is hard. I think everyone struggles with overcoming that. And I believe it was just small, good things along the way happening, like just reinforcing, okay, I did that, start small and okay, I have to keep growing. You get in your comfort zone. Okay, well, all right, now we're going to try this. Oh, it's scary. Yes, it's a bigger house I'm doing now. And, you get in your comfort zone and don't want to grow from that. But I just kept going, okay, I can do this. And of course, having a support system means a lot if you have family who believes in what you do. My husband's always been very supportive. And I was lucky that I could take the time to figure out how I wanted to do it, what I wanted to do. Maybe not everyone has that opportunity, but I hope they do. I hope everyone can get a little bit of time just to, think later when the chaos of maybe raising your family is over. You can just take a minute, sit back, and if you can find something you love to do, hobbies are great, but if you can make it a business too and really share that with others.
And I think to your point, Kelleen, again, going back to forget the book, write the chapter. I keep hearing this in my mind as you're telling me what you've experienced in your journey leading up to where you are now with Kelleen Corsmeier Interiors. And you said this reinforcement, you used the word reinforcing that you were having small wins along the way, whether that was helping someone pick out a paint color or staging their home. And that sounds like to me, it was creating evidence for you that you were really at your fullest expression here and recognizing a gift and a talent, getting that hit of dopamine in the process of like, wow, this is really exciting and it's lighting me up and it's lighting other people up. So I suppose I say that to encourage folks to focus on the chapter, not the book. What's the thing that you're just curious about? I remember having a conversation with a girlfriend a couple of years ago, telling her, if you're curious about it, just take the course. Just take the course. What could it hurt? Because it's like, well, I think we get in those thought loops and that doubt of, okay, well, what would I do with this? And we become too analytical about it, right? What would I do with this? Could this really become a business? I don't know. And then one thought leads to the next. And then before you know it, we're talking ourselves out of doing the thing. So wow, I feel like that's a really great takeaway to just continue to build the evidence for yourself. Just get curious and one foot in front of the next. Beautiful. So heading into Kelleen Corsmeier Interiors, talk about that moment when you decided, okay, I want to turn this into a business. Had you had any close friends or family members that had been entrepreneurs that kind of showed you, hey, this can be done and this is possible? And was it ever sort of a part of your reality?
I really didn't have anyone I know that had their own business. So I had to learn like, okay, so you can be creative and I'm great at design and all this. Okay, I figured that out. Okay, how do I have a business? I knew nothing about having a business. So I learned that again, all myself, just researching and speaking with State of Ohio, like, how do I do this? How do I start up a small business? So there was so much to learn. Like, when you're creative, it doesn't mean that you're really great at, figuring out how. That's a whole nother thing. So that was probably the biggest learning curve and all the hurdles I had to get through that. So, I'm trying to do both things at once, learn as much as I can about design but the business, I struggled a little bit more. That's probably what made me doubt myself more than anything. Like, oh, I can't do this. Am I really a business?
What was it about the business piece that had you doubting?
Gosh, I guess just like getting it set up. Am I doing everything right? How do I even set goals? How much do I want to make? How does it really work? How is it a job and not a hobby? How do you figure that out? So I took some business courses too. So I was taking design courses and business courses, some business coaching classes, just to learn as much as I could about that, because that's a whole other hat to wear, having the business mind. I have the business hat on, and then I put on my design. So you're kind of being two people at once, I think. So that's what I struggled with the most. And like, wow, can I get through this and have it up and running? It's been 3 years, so I think I'm doing okay.
And what was the fuel behind overcoming those days of doubt?
I wanted to prove to myself I could do it, because there's so many things. Sometimes I feel, and we've all done that, like you start something and then, and there's nothing wrong with starting it and stopping it if you don't love it. But I really wanted to see this through. Like, I could prove to myself, I can do this, and I could do this on my own and figure it out. So I really just wanted to get to the finish line and say, okay, I did it. I wanted to start something, finish it, because I knew that it would be worth it. And it is. I'm very glad. There's so many times I get said, oh, this is so hard. I just need to quit. I can't do this, and, Rich probably heard that from me all the time. That, it's too hard, and he would encourage me, you can do it. And I thought, yeah, I am going to see this through.
That's where that support comes in too. Like you just said, it's so important. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to my husband. He's probably so tired of it by this point. I'm like, I don't know. What am I doing? Is this right? Is this where I need to be? Am I making the right choices? And a lot of it too is when you are able to hold yourself accountable and make it to the finish line, then that's where the magic starts to happen. Because again, about that evidence for yourself, right? That you're able to do it, but you start trusting yourself because you're able to trust that you're going to show up for you. And then it's just the building blocks. And I think that's just why everyone always says it's such a process. These sort of things don't happen overnight because there's so much work to be done when it comes to following our dreams. It's not linear. And so every day, every week, every month, every year, you're assessing, you're reassessing, and you have to have what I like to call that emotional endurance to get through the times where the doubt feels so incredibly heavy. I also like to say you have to stay close to your values and why those values are so important to you. And that also fuels your ability to sustain that emotional endurance. For me, it's like, gosh, my values are like, I want freedom in my life. But what does freedom really mean to you? Freedom for me is choice. It's feeling limitless. It's having my individuality, my spirituality, and my connection with myself and source and other people in my life is really important. The creativity, the beauty that I'm creating, how I'm modeling for my kids, like all of those things are reminders to myself that I have written down that keep me going. I have notes in my office where there's days where I could be in tears and I look at a note that I'd written to myself months before and I'm like, wow, that's why I'm doing this. So yeah, maybe another takeaway for our listeners, write down when you're feeling those moments of inspiration or feeling really encouraged, write it down somewhere and place it somewhere in your car, in the bathroom, just to remind you of your why, remind you why you're on this path. Another question that came up for me, Kelleen, was a lot of us can find excuses not to take the course, not to take the classes, not to fund the dream. what would you say if someone is telling themselves, where am I going to get the money to do that? Or where am I going to get the time?
True. And, I struggled with that myself because, when you're investing yourself, it's harder than if you're investing in other people. Our kids played select sports and we traveled with them, and I would always find the money for that, no matter what it was. It's for others, you are more likely to do for, right? But when I sat back and, wow, it's for me, I felt selfish at first. Like, why am I going to spend, thousands of dollars on this course and getting this and that? It was a little hard to figure out if I was worth it. That took a while to say, yeah, I am going to do it's for me, but it's for others as well. So I had to get over that hurdle. And if somebody asked me how did you find the money or this or that, when you try hard enough, you can find it. Is it taking just a little time to think if I have to choose versus, okay, this course is, I don't know, $3,000, $5,000. Well, we were going to go on a pricey vacation. Maybe you have to make choices, and what in the long run will mean the most to you. You can get creative and find money when you really want to, but I think we might use it as an excuse not to do something. Oh, that's just too expensive for that course. Okay, I just won't take it. And you put it off. And 10 years go by. Wow, I wish I would have done that. So, what if I've tried to make things happen by what do I have around my home that I don't need? When we were going to move, I said, let's sell everything we don't need, use, or want. And before you know it, you can have that $3,000 or whatever it is you need. So, we all maybe need to just reevaluate where we're spending our money mindlessly. Don't go to Starbucks every day. I don't know. You can make it happen if you really wanted to. Watch some online courses. Every once in a while, they'll have a sale, $500 off. So I think if you find reasons not to do that, you won't do it. It's too expensive. So you can make excuses to do it or not do it. So you just have to, just do it. You can make it happen. Just be creative.
Yes, be creative. And for all my ladies out there, you are all creative. We are innately creative. It is your divine nature to be creative. I love what you say about sell things around the house that you no longer need, or things that we could release that make space to call in other things that are going to serve us even better. And I have this phrase that I say, which is sell the diamond, fund the dream. Another story for another day, but I say that your point is around, okay, what do I not need anymore? What can I release? Or how can I make that money to fund the course? And so just getting creative in those ways. And 9 times out of 10, it's really not about the money, is it? Like you said, it's the emotional dissonance underneath of that of, can I do this? It's the doubt, the am I worthy? Is this a good choice? Can I trust myself to do this? The uncertainty of it all. What will people think? It's a very vulnerable place to be when you are starting a business. And I have to remind myself every day that what I'm going through is normal and I am going to be okay. What I'm going through is normal and I am going to be okay. So I love to hear that you have gotten creative and resourceful. It sounds like, Kelleen, you are so resourceful, and finding ways to get it done. And I love to hear when women say to themselves and to other people that they are resourceful. Even if it's a book. I mean, I can't tell you on my journey of discovery, I was reaching for every free thing I could find until I decided to then invest in myself, which always you get your return. If it feels aligned to you, of course, you will always get your return. And so there are free webinars, there are books, we have so much information at our fingertips. There is no excuse to just start. I want to just kind of go back to what you said earlier, because I think that this resonates with a lot of women, which was when you were thinking about investing in yourself, it felt selfish. And you were asking yourself, am I worth it? What sort of thoughts were going through your mind at the time? Why did it feel selfish? And why were you questioning your worth on something that you were passionate about?
I guess I was so used to always putting my kids first. And I think that's moms just always do that. So is that kind of an excuse too? I know some women can still do their dream and raise a family, but I always put my kids first, and anything else I had in the back of my mind just didn't happen. So when it came to the time, I mean, even my kids were grown, why am I still feeling selfish that I wouldn't be taking time away from them? They were all off and married in college, whatever, but it was hard because I don't know if I ever really did anything for myself. So it just felt, am I taking time then away from my husband? Is it selfish of me for that? Should I spend more time with my parents? I'm spending money on myself doing this. I'm going to be away from the home. That made me feel selfish. And now when I say it out loud, I'm like, really? Did I really think that way? Because I just can't imagine it now, having that thought that it's selfish, because I don't feel that way now. But just to have not ever done anything really for yourself, it was a selfish, it felt bad to, I guess, take the money and the time away.
And that's understandable. A lot of us feel that way. I've certainly felt that way. How did you start to sort of reframe that thought for yourself? What were some experiences that occurred? And I know everyone experiences a different journey and kind of light bulb moments and those downloads and like, oh, something just sort of clicks. But what was it for you that gave you the momentum?
I guess when I first had like my very first client, right? So I felt selfish because I was spending money getting certified and, getting everything I needed to do to have my business. When I went to my first client's house, it was successful. I got through it. I was so afraid, like, oh, even to that moment, like, I don't know that I can do this. I went, it was successful, it was great. And I made some money, right? So I thought, okay, well, this is great. So I didn't feel as selfish because I got something from it, I guess. I got a paycheck from it. I kind of felt like, yeah, this is successful. I did it. I helped others.
Were there any moments, and I think some of us can do this consciously and maybe unconsciously, were there moments that you were able to visualize the outcome or the success? Or were you able to get yourself into a place of like a deep knowing for you? Or was it, along with the days of doubt, of course, was there some sort of like soul desire or soul connection happening at that time too?
As I got more clients and kept doing it, you're kind of like practicing it. And I saw that it was going great and everyone loved it. Because probably the first 10, 20 clients I had, I thought, wow, do I know what I'm doing? How is it going to go? Are they going to like it? And I think I'm kind of a person that needs some feedback, just thinking in my head, oh, this is great. I'm doing good. I really needed the feedback from the clients, the reassurance that, oh, this is great. We love it. It means a lot to me. And just hearing that reinforce what I think I knew in my heart deep down, that yes, I am meant to do this. I love this. This is my gift. I didn't know it was in there. And it made me shine a little bit more. So it didn't just instantly happen for me. I think I knew it in there, but I just needed to kind of get it rolling and start here. Okay, yes, I am doing the right thing,
So let's talk a little bit about your services. This is going to be my favorite part. So Kelleen Corsmeier Interiors offers some wonderful services, from full design and down to what you were saying earlier. It's something that you offer for anyone. You can sort of customize the needs of your clients. So tell us about your services and what you offer at Kelleen Corsmeier Interiors.
You were right on. I have something, it's a full service design. That's for folks who maybe their whole home needs to be refreshed, top to bottom, everything. That's, right down to even place settings if you want. So it's every little thing. You see it on HGTV. It's the moment you go away, come back, and there's that moment where everything is just the way you envisioned, right? Like a dream, like being on a show. That's not for everyone. That's great. We love that. I offer that. I also have, it's called like design for a day. That is for the folks who, maybe they just have one room. They don't need me to do the ordering for them or have the installers come in and put everything in its place. That is, you don't mind ordering it yourself, right? So I can come in, we spend 2 hours together chatting, say it's the living room. Let's talk about, what do you do in this space? You want to hang out here? We will just go ahead and work with what you have, but add in some other items. So we just spend 2 hours together, and then I go home and design everything and share a board with you, give you a shopping list. And there may be a little more DIY that they don't know what to really choose or how to put it together. With my guidance, I help them do that, and they still get to go ahead, order it for themselves, make their own selections, and then put it together with the plan that I've created for them, but they're in charge of installing it themselves. So a lot of people like that because they're kind of in the middle. They don't need everything done for them. They just want to make smart choices and not make mistakes. So that's what I hear the most is I'm afraid to pick my own sofa or my own accessories. I don't want to make a mistake. So instead, they just don't do it at all. So, I say I'm kind of like your best friend coming in, and we'll come up with great ideas together. I will help you choose what to pick that you will love. I'm kind of hold their hand through the process, but they're still doing it on their own as well. That's kind of like the happy medium that I enjoy. And I think most people go that route because they're not going to make mistakes. They have the confidence with me by their side to make those selections. And I also have a lot of people who are building their home, but they don't know how to pick the right colors for their walls, their countertops, their finishings, their flooring, carpet, any of that. So again, I come with them. We'll go to the design center, pick out the tile. So, that's another service a lot of people don't offer, and they find it very helpful. Again, they don't want to make those mistakes and bad choices that they will have to live with. So I do offer that as well. And the color consultations. That probably comes up more than anything is I can't pick the right wall color. So if that's all you need, I can help you with that as well.
Amazing. And it can feel so overwhelming and debilitating when you're really unsure of even what to do and where to even start. Directionally understanding the aesthetic you're going for and the color combinations, the functionality. That's another piece that I wanted to talk about. It's not only the aesthetic goals of the design, but the functional goals. Tell me more about what you think through when going through the functional goals of the space.
Sure. So the first question that you want to ask is, what are you going to use this space for? So, I will go into a client's house and they have, say, a formal living room, and they think they need to use it as a formal living room. So you want to ask, how are you going to use this space? Do you want a formal living room? Maybe we're going to use it as a media room. So it's really knowing, like, you don't have to use your space the way the house is set up. You purchase house like, formal dining room. Are you going to use it as a formal dining room? No, but I'd really, what are your hobbies? I would love to have a place to read. Well, this formal dining room doesn't have to be a dining room. Reuse it the way that you're going to use it. So let's create a sitting room, a reading room. You think that you have to use your room a certain way, but you want it to be how you're going to use it.
I think about my own home right now, and we're using spaces that are very much unintended to be used that way. So, but it's what's serving us right now. As far as the process that you take the client through, kind of go through step by step in what that experience will be from discovery call all the way into installation.
As soon as a client calls me or finds me, I like to have a process in line that I do a discovery call. The discovery call is a way for me and for the client to find out a little bit more about each other, what they're looking for specifically, see if we'll be a good fit. I do a lot of homework before we even meet in person, just to make sure I really can help them achieve what they're looking for. A lot of times they don't even really know specifically what they're wanting to accomplish. And I think that's a good way to connect with your client, and they kind of get to know you a little bit. So they're a little more comfortable. And after we go through that step, then I have an in-person consultation. So I'm going to show up at your house. We're going to expand more on what we talked about earlier on the phone call. And I get to see the space, chat with them for about an hour, walk through the home, but again, really get to know them even a little more in depth. And that's where we answer the questions. What do you see in this space? Get a little more into design. That's what they really are looking forward to is, they don't even really know their style. Again, even more discovery just in that consultation as far as trying to tie together what they already have and what they're envisioning. A lot of clients can see in their head, they've looked on Pinterest, Instagram, kind of see what they want, but they don't know how to get it out. So that's where I help them figure that out, mostly at that consultation. And then we start just sharing photos, show me some things that you love. I don't want you to just pick a page from a magazine or something you see on Instagram and recreate that, because you can do that. But is that really them? I want to get to know them and personalize it. You can have a Pottery Barn catalog page and get every single thing there, but you really want to curate it for I want somebody to come in and say, I know exactly who lives here because they know you. So if the home does not feel like you, then you're not going to be yourself there. So I say, if your friend comes over, as soon as they walk in here, I want them to say, oh, I know Brandy lives here. That is totally her. It feels like her and it looks like her. That, I think, brings the most joy to my clients. Sometimes they're nervous at first and they're like, well, what do you think? Well, what do you think this should be? I said, well, I don't live here with you. I don't want it to look and feel like me. Who are you? And I think that is what is a little different that I do is I really get to know my clients and I want them to feel comfortable. If you took a page out of the magazine, I don't know that you would feel comfortable in it because is it really you? You might like it. It's pretty, but I really spend a lot of time curating for my clients, and that means a lot to them.
I love what you have on the front of your website, which is what you just said. Everyone deserves a thoughtfully curated home. And it's so true. And it really is an energetic. Would you agree when you walk into a space? I mean, energetically, how is it presenting? How is it feeling? What is the mood? Because, there's a lot of beautiful things that we can create, but does it speak authentically to you?
Exactly. And that's hard. A lot of people don't really know what their style. I say, don't get caught up on the word style. It's not your style. Is it you? I don't want you trying to define your style, really. Your style is you. You're your own style, your personality. So, once we get all that, it starts going. And it's I like it to feel fun for my clients and personal. And we're a team. We work together. It's a fun process. I think they really enjoy it. And we're always a little sad, but excited when it comes to an end. But installation is just like the magic moment. We love to sit back and let's have our cup of coffee together, or a glass of wine. And wow, look at this place. And it feels like them. And that's my favorite part, I think. Of course, getting to the end is their favorite part as well. But it's just satisfying to know that it is a reflection of them. And, they always take away, yep, when people come in, they know it's my house.
Right. That's just one of the things that as humans, we want to be able to express ourselves fully and completely and authentically. And our space is just one way to do that. And it's so important. What are some benefits of working with an interior designer? So if someone's saying to themselves, well, I have an eye for it, I can get by myself. What would you say to that person as an interior designer?
Working with a designer, you will gain that confidence that you probably haven't had yet, which is either you haven't completed what you wanted to do. There's so many who go through the process, get everything they need, but you know what? They get hung up on even the artwork. It's just not quite finished. It's just being able to complete that little bit means a lot in itself. So the reassurance you're doing it right. But there's, honestly, really no wrong answer, so don't get caught up on the rules of how it should be. But I just feel you gain the confidence that you are making the correct decisions. it will all work well for your space. That's the biggest benefit.
When I think about the services you provide and the spaces that I've created for myself, it takes me time. And sometimes I'm going back to the store multiple times to returns. And then it also takes finding the right people to install, to, the right contractor to do whatever necessary changes need to be done. You handle all those things also,
Yes.
correct?
Oh, yes. So that's probably, one of the biggest benefits is that for the sake of time, some folks are too busy and they don't want to spend all the time piecing everything together, getting the painter, your flooring guy, your contractor, all of that. So the time saved is one of the biggest benefits. Knowing that you're going to get quality items, sourcing furniture, it's overwhelming for a lot of folks. Just trying to pick the perfect sofa. I can just cut right through that and help you make those decisions. I know where to go to get it. And that really helps a lot of people with having to look at 100 sofas versus, here's 3 amazing sofas. None of them are a wrong answer and they will fit your space perfectly. Which one do we like best? So taking a lot of the overwhelm, there's just too many choices and I can narrow it down for you. And same with paint colors, millions of colors. You want a beige. Okay, well, here's 2 great ones. Why you'll never complete what you're trying to do if you keep looking and looking. So that's why things get put off. So hoping you make the selections, narrowing it down for you. I'll do all the legwork.
Beautiful. And just the word simplify just keeps coming to mind. Like you just simplify and streamline the process and make it fun, like you said. Whereas a lot of times it can feel stressful and forced and you overthink things. So amazing. A few closing questions for you, Kelleen. What do you want your impact to be in the world?
I feel it seems simple, but my impact, like if I can just bring a smile to everyone's face that I meet, it's very simplistic, but that's my goal almost every day. I just want to be able to know that I made someone smile. Strangers, my clients, you never know who's having a bad day. I'll smile at anyone and just try to get them to smile back. And I feel like that's impactful in itself, bringing a smile to someone's face.
Yeah. Yeah. Those sweet moments of bliss. And it's in those small moments that I like to say that's when I feel most abundant, is in those small moments, making someone smile or making some sort of impact in a very simple way, as opposed to always reaching for the big thing. I love that.
Just simple, because it's made my day before. People have done that for me, and I'm like, wow, that someone just smiling and saying hi to me just really changed the whole outlook of my day. So I'd like to hope I can return the favor.
This is somewhat of a similar question, but going a little bit deeper, which is how do you find authentic connection with others?
Just by being myself. If I try to pretend to be someone I'm not, it will never be authentic. If you start out in your relationship with whoever it is, your friends, your family, strangers, if you're not yourself from the very beginning, I don't know that it would ever be authentic. So I just always try to be myself. And I think then you have that genuine connection. People will either like you or they won't. I want people to just know that I'm always myself and I won't try to fake anything. There's no joy in that for me.
What does it mean to you to live a consciously inspired life?
I think by making mindful choices in everything I do. We're always caught up making fast decisions. And there's times in life that you have to do that. You're doing things without even thinking about them. And when I finally got to a place in my life where I can just sit back and just make conscious decisions, be mindful in my choices and my decisions and know that maybe I don't have to make that decision right now. I'm trying to be more intentional in everything I do. And it's a new way to learn and think for me anyway. And, we get very busy in life and things go by and I'm like, wow, that decision I made, maybe that wasn't good. So I'm just every little thing. Just, is it a good decision? I'm going to be mindful in my choices.
What does it mean to you to make a mindful choice?
Just think on it a little bit more. I mean, I've been super impulsive and, I think it's just something we do. You have to make quick decisions a lot, but do you really have to? So if I can think on something a little bit more and think how not only it affects me, I like, oh, I need this, I want this. And I've always been, kind of like that. But I'm in a point in life where I'm thinking more before I do something. How will it affect me? How will it affect my husband, my family, the environment? So, it's so broad. So and I'm not sure how I just have come to that, but it's just something new for me lately that I want to be very conscious of my decisions and think about everything. And I think it's more enjoyable that way instead of being impulsive.
Absolutely. That instant gratification that most of us are after, or can be after a lot of the time, where we just take this time to just slow down. You're exactly right. What's the rush? I like that. Where can people find you, Kelleen? If they're interested in just connecting with you, if they're interested in enjoying your services at Kelleen Corsmeier Interiors, where can they find you?
You could certainly find me on my newly designed website. So KelleenCorsmeierInteriors.com. I am also on Facebook and Instagram. You can certainly send me an email. You can give me a phone call. I'd be happy to chat with you, and pretty easy to find. Located in Loveland, Ohio. But I go around the city, Tri-State area. So don't think you're too far away.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being on. I know I personally gained some amazing tips from you today, and all the interior design tips that your services provide, your beautiful website, your blog. You also have a blog connected on your website as well. Amazing. And I love the quote that you have on your website as well, which is design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. So going back to that functionality piece, that we were talking about earlier. So I love that. Well, Kelleen, thank you. It's been such a pleasure. And if you want to learn more, everything will be linked in the show notes.
Thank you. Thank you, Brandy. Thanks, everyone.
You're so welcome. All right, everybody, until next time. Bye-bye. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. If you'd like to learn more about Consciously Inspired Minds, you can visit us at consciouslyinspiredminds.com. If these episodes have you wondering how you can design a life uniquely inspired by you, head on over to modelifestylecoaching.com. That's MODE lifestylecoaching.com and schedule a free call. I'd love to learn more about your deepest desires and how we can get you closer to your authentic life vision and impact. Until we connect again, explore what inspires you.